This is an iHeart podcast.
Thrilled to sign the VA Home Loan Program Reform Act into law. This legislation provides desperately needed relief to veterans and their families who have fallen behind on their mortgages. It helps keep our promise to end veterans' homelessness, and we're going to do that for America. We're going to do that for our great veterans.
You're listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson.
Good Thursday morning. It's so nice to have you with us on the 47 Morning Update, and we've got one big story for you. Donald Trump at the White House today calling out Nancy Pelosi for becoming rich by having inside trading information. The president saying, quote, "She made a fortune with her husband, and I think it's disgraceful." Well, Nancy Pelosi also firing back and becoming very irritated in a CNN interview. I've got it all for you. But first, I want to talk to you about starting my day. I do it every morning with an amazing cup of Crockett coffee. If you want unbelievable coffee every morning, then I got to introduce you to Crockett coffee. And I just had my first cup a few moments ago. I've got a cup of coffee every moment when I'm doing this show. Crockett coffee is roasted perfection in small batches on purpose by experts that love the taste of amazing coffee. It's roasted in our nation's heartland and delivered fresh to your home or office. And if you want to drink coffee every morning that makes you feel like you're outside by a campfire, then you got to check out the aroma of Crockett coffee. It brews in your home or your office, and you're going to love it. Now, this is premium coffee. If you want an average cup of coffee, do not order Crockett coffee. There is also one other thing I love. It is owned by great conservatives, fellow patriots, Buck Sexton and Clay Travis. They came up with this idea, and they're two guys that never sell out. So if you're ready to have a great cup of coffee, then choose between the fresh ground, the whole bean, or the K-Cups. And if you're interested in mushroom coffee and the positive benefits that come with that, you can also check that out at Crockett Coffee. Now, I want to save you some money right now. Go online to crockettcoffee.com. Use my name, Ben. You're going to get 20% off your first order. That's crockettcoffee.com. Use my name, Ben. You're going to get 20% off your first order. You are going to love your coffee every morning. Try it. You'll be hooked just like I am. And you're going to go, man, I love supporting great conservatives who are willing to go out there and start new businesses for conservatives just like you. crockettcoffee.com. Promo code Ben. Get you 20% off your first order. Try it right now. It's the 47 Morning Update, and it starts right now.
Story number one.
President Donald Trump coming out swinging, calling for a Pelosi investigation over insider trading, and describing what she has done as nothing less than disgraceful. President Donald Trump calling for an investigation based on the facts. Why? Well, he was asked about a bill to ban stock trading among members of Congress. I want you to put this into perspective, what has been reported on, so you understand the outrage here. Nancy Pelosi's current government salary is $174,000 a year. Now, that's standard pay for rank-and-file members of Congress. There's other roles that may get her more money, when she was the Speaker, for example, or a party leadership. But if you look at her net worth, here is what we know. OpenSecrets, for example, estimates Nancy Pelosi's net worth back in 2018 to be $114.7 million. Now, as of mid-2024, Investopedia estimated the couple's net worth at over $240 million, with substantial holdings in tech stocks and real estate, $45 million alone in property. All of this off of $174,000 and change a year. Now, more recently, there have been new estimates. As of June 1, for example, there was a new estimate that their net worth was well over $260 million, including about $127 million in publicly tracked equities. And then you look at 2024. Financial disclosures show that Paul Pelosi, that's the husband of Nancy Pelosi, earned, and this is a big range, between $7.8 million and $42.5 million in 2024 alone from stock trades, boosting their estimated net worth to as much as $413 million, a figure that's been cited by many outlets, including The Times. Here's the other thing that you should know before I let you hear from the president. Nancy Pelosi and her husband's portfolio reportedly delivered a 54% return in 2024, substantially outperforming major hedge funds and the 25% historic gain in the S&P 500. Notable trades included early investments in stocks that exploded, like NVIDIA and Palo Alto Networks, as well as timely sales of Microsoft and Visa shares ahead of regulatory scrutiny, and the stocks came down significantly. Now, critics argue that Pelosi's consistent trading success may reflect access to non-public information. This is why she's making so much money, is what many believe. Now, Donald Trump was asked about this at the White House as they were talking about stopping trading of stocks by members of Congress. And I want you to listen carefully to what the president had to say.
Nancy Pelosi became rich by having inside information. She made a fortune with her husband, and I think that's disgraceful. So in that sense, I'd like it, but I'd have to really see I study these things very carefully, and this just happened. So I'll take a look at it. But conceptually, I like it. And what I do think is Nancy Pelosi should be investigated, because she has the highest return of anybody practically in the history of Wall Street, save a few. How did that happen? It happened by she knows exactly what's going to happen, what's going to be announced. She buys stock, and then the stock goes up after the announcement's made. And she ought to be investigated.
Now, you can hear the president there making it clear what he believes should happen. Nancy Pelosi went on CNN, a place that's, extremely friendly with Jake Tapper, someone that's helped her out with many fake stories in the past. And what did Nancy Pelosi say? Well, Jake Tapper apparently is acting like he's a tough journalist and decided to ask Pelosi a question about insider trading. Now, of course, he's saying President Trump said it, not me. We're not doing any investigative work here. No, we're just going to ask you about what Trump said. And Nancy Pelosi went into hey, I'm here to talk about something else. I don't want to talk about this. I'm here to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. That's why I agreed to come on here. And then she started to ramble even more. Listen carefully.
This afternoon, President Trump mentioned you, and he made an allegation about your investments. I want to roll that clip and then give you a chance to respond. Let me just read what he said. I'm sorry that we had some sort of technical issue. Nancy Pelosi became rich.
Why do you have to read that? We're here to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. That's what I agreed to come to talk about.
Yeah, but I wanted
what that means in the election.
I wanted to give you a chance just to respond. He accused you of insider trading. What's your response to that?
That's ridiculous. In fact, I very much support the stop the trading of members of Congress. Not that I think anybody's doing anything wrong. If they are prosecuted and they go to jail. But because of the confidence it instills in the American people, don't worry about this. But I have no concern about the obvious investments that had been made over time. I'm not into it, my husband is, but it isn't anything to do with anything insider. But the president has his own exposure, so he's always projecting. And let's not give him any more time on that, please. We're going forward here, and I'm very proud of my family, and while he might make fun of us while somebody inspired by him breaks into our home and hits my husband in a deadly fashion, hits my husband over the head, and he thinks that's a riot, I'd rather not go into some of my other complaints about him right now. Rather to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid and Medicare. What a triumph, a great pillar of economic and health security for the American people. We had over the weekend a Caring Across Generations initiative of a 60-hour vigil of all of us taking turns, myself, my daughter, my granddaughter, and all the rest taking turns over 60 hours to tell stories of how all of this, what all this means in people's lives. We, since all this has emerged, have had 300,000 calls from our Californians, to people in Republican held districts, for them to call, the constituents to call their Republican members of Congress who have voted for this shameful, dirty, filthy, stinking, lousy, rotten, anything but beautiful act. And now we are engaged in the Save Medicaid Summer. So today is the 60th anniversary It's something to be very, very proud of. And instead of what the Republicans are doing to deprive people of access to health care who need it so badly, people with disabilities who need it so badly, for the children
let me ask
who need it so badly.
There are two things we just have to go back to in this audio. Number one, Pelosi trying to dodge the question of insider trading, then saying, I'm not into it, my husband is. Yes, she said that. Here's the receipt.
I'm not into it, my husband is.
One thing is for sure, Nancy Pelosi, she's nervous, and she's pointing her finger to her husband, saying, I don't do anything. I don't know anything. I'm not into anything insider. And oh, by the way, let me point at Donald Trump. You know, he's got his own exposure, so he's always projecting. Yes, that is Nancy Pelosi's response to being worth hundreds of millions of dollars on a $174,000 salary. So if you want to know why Donald Trump said she should be investigated, well, maybe just listen to Nancy Pelosi's own words.
Thank you for listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson. Please make sure you hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. And for more in-depth news, also subscribe to the Ben Ferguson Podcast, and we will see you back here tomorrow.
This is an iHeart podcast.